What's going on, everybody? We're back. It's your favorite couple. And on tonight, we're going to be talking about, has toxic relationships become the norm?
Has it?
So, on tonight, we're going to talk about these different things that are going on in these toxic relationships, things that are, so to speak, cliche-ish somewhat. But a lot of times you're going through these things in these toxic relationships and you don't even know it,
right.
Or you know it and you feel like you have to deal with it, or it's okay to deal with those types of things. So on tonight, we're just gonna touch on a few because it's so many toxic traits.
So many.
And people have them, men and women. So it's not about the women being at home, yeah, he ain't. Or men be like, yeah, you know, bruh, she just won't do, you know.
Right.
It ain't all about, we all have these traits in these relationships. And what brought this topic about was I was listening to a lot of the music, and I like music. I'm a music lover.
Right, we listen to everything from what, classical to...
Classical, we listen to rock and roll, we listen to it all.
Right.
And it's a lot of the hip hop thing. Not saying nothing wrong with it. It's got catchy tunes, they got 5 beats. But some of it is the media pushing this agenda on us.
Mainly us, because I was listening to some Ed Sheeran and some country music, and they still singing about love to their women,
right.
Okay?
And it's hard to find actual love songs like, you know, back in the day when we were younger, we were listening to things, you know.
Jodeci, Drew Hill, right. You know, people telling you about that
Luther,
love.
I listen to Luther.
Right, and Prince,
you know.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, they talked about love, but even some of them were a little extra. But, you know, but at the same time, you know, you actually heard the experience. It made you think about loving a woman. Like, I see the meme on Facebook all the time. What was going through Jodeci's mind to make them be in the middle of the desert with some leather on? And then,
they were singing about love.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, they be, you know, it's those things that bring back to memory. Like, hey, they talked about love, and now it's just like, I'm out to get this money. If you ain't got no money, I can't deal with you. You know what I'm saying? And men, they talking bad about the women. I got 3 or 4, 5 of them at one time, and having them all like, nah, bruh. Like, it's rough. You know, so on that note, you know, I think that the media is pushing the toxic relationship to a high level so it won't cultivate great relationships within the community.
That's so for real, because we were just looking at the statistics on marriage and how much marriage has changed. It has been a decline in marriage between man and woman. Extremely. It went from like 72% to 48 or
30,
something like that percent of people that are now divorced or not in a relationship.
Or never been married.
But because of media, guess what? Homosexual marriage has quadrupled
in that same amount of time.
In the same amount of time. And don't get us wrong, we love everybody.
Right.
We love everybody. What you choose to do with your life is your life. You got to stand before your God and be judged. That's on you.
It's on you.
But we're speaking from the place of what we believe. And we believe in husband and wife.
Right.
And that has been attacked. And I think it is a ploy of the enemy to stop this next generation completely. If you're not wanting to be with somebody of the same sex, you don't want nobody at all.
And the Bible clearly says, be fruitful and multiply. And you can't do that if you're by yourself or with the same sex.
Yeah,
so
it's impossible.
It's impossible. But the toxic traits that we're going to be talking about is, some of them are...
not owning your own stuff.
Yeah, not owning up to whatever you did wrong, or believing that whatever you did wrong was okay.
Right.
So that's a great topic as far as a toxic trait, because a lot of times, like we always say, when you see stuff growing up and it's become accept it and you do it over and over again, eventually you think that's the norm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like even with driving, like if you're driving down the road and the speed limit is 45 and everybody's doing 60 and you're doing 60 every day, when you get pulled over, you like, hey bro, everybody else was doing it, you know, we've been doing it all this time. It's the norm, but it's actually wrong.
Right.
So you have to look at those things and try to figure out, hey, is that wrong? Should I be going through this? Should I be dealing with that? You know, that part of not owning up your own stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff we let people get away with because they say this is me. This is how I've always been. And the person that points it out and says that that's wrong, then you think it's something wrong with them.
Damn.
But in turn, that is a toxic behavior that nobody ever checked you on.
And
Okay.
once you finally get checked on it, woo, boy, you about ready to fight. Like, what you mean? This is me. I've been this all my life.
Right, but it's very important if you're gonna be in a relationship to own your part.
Right.
It is two parts to every story. It is two parts in every relationship. You have to own what you do right as well as what you do wrong. It's very toxic to just continue to put it off on the other person. Put it off on the other person. Well, I didn't do that. Well, you should have did this. Well, you did right, and you did this to make me act this way. No, that's not how that goes. We're responsible for our own selves, and if you are not ready to own your own then you need to be by yourself.
That's it. Even in being by yourself, you can't blame. Like someone might ask you, man, y'all was good together, blah, blah, blah. What happened? Well, you know, they did this, they did that. You take no ownership in what you played in that process of y'all not being together anymore.
Right.
That's you're still like, you know, it's like that. A lot of people like that. They always blame the other person not taking in consideration what they did wrong, actually.
Right, and that goes into another toxic trait, which is manipulation.
For the manipulation, people love to use it.
People uses the manipulation.
Very well.
That victim mentality, like, why did you do that to me? And you know, well, if you hadn't have done such and such and such and such, then I wouldn't have did, you know, or just, it's so many ways to be manipulative, okay? It's so many underlining ways of being manipulative. I can't even name them because
right. Man, then a lot of it is a learned trait. Being
manipulative
learned
behavior.
Is a learned behavior. I think. I don't know, you know, because I've never been taught to be manipulative. But if you see it and you use what you've seen, then somebody points it out as you being manipulative. You're like, nah, this is what such and such, and then you realize, oh, they were manipulating.
And being manipulative is, you know, as a explanation of what it is. It's getting somebody to do what you want them to do without them knowing that you got them to do what you want them to do. That sad story, that heartbreak that you continue to use over and over and over again, that woe is me spirit, that's all manipulation because you want people to feel sorry for you or you want people to be on your side. The crying that we do, that's manipulation because you want things to be in your favor. And a lot of times when we're using manipulation, it's because we're wrong anyway. We want to be right. So in order for us to be right in our wrongness, we got to manipulate you to make you see it the way that I want you to see it.
Right.
And that's a very toxic trait.
Very toxic. Because a lot of times it'll lead to people sometimes doing things that they normally wouldn't even do. You know, or step out of what they wanted to do. You know, they may have wanted to go a certain way about doing some things, and then you make them feel this type of way, then they all of a sudden not do it. You may be in a relationship where you might get a job out of state or in another city, making more money, moving. They be like, well, I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should do this. Well, whatever, you know, and then they manipulate the situation. Now they're putting all their feelings on you. Now you're thinking about these types of things, and now it's all of a sudden, now you make this decision like, okay, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna take that job, and then you ended up in a worse situation. Then then it creates resentment because I should have took this, and you know, it's just a whole bunch. It's a snowball effect when you use manipulation in a relationship.
Just being toxic, period. That one toxic trait can snowball into so many more because you gotta support that foolishness, and in supporting that foolishness, you gotta add some more stuff onto it. So if you're manipulative, if you don't own your own stuff, of course, the next thing is gonna be you're extremely insecure. You have to be insecure in order to put people in positions to make them do what you want them to do.
Right. Because, you know, being insecure, you be jealous of other people, and a lot of times you see stuff that you think that you may want, but you don't even know what it took to get there. You don't know what type of process they went through. You don't know none of that stuff. And you may be jealous and think that, well, if they got it, why can't I get it? Why you ain't doing this and why you ain't doing that? Now you putting pressure on your mate to make them go do some stuff, and they may go do something illegal. You know, you just never know. These things, it's things that people do to mess up your mental capacity to try to stay in a relationship and try to stay with that person and understand that, hey, sometimes your insecurities, don't force your insecurities on me.
Right. Yeah, being insecure is a very sad place to be in. I used to deal with insecurity because I had so many broken relationships. So it caused a strain at one point in our relationship. Like, baby, I'm not finna do nothing. I'm not finna go nowhere. Like, stop. Right. And I had to identify within myself, look, boo, you need to get that together. You're extremely insecure. And in me being insecure, I had all those other things because I was insecure and I didn't want him to go places. I would manipulate him and make him feel bad about him wanting to go hang out with his friends or him wanting to do this or him wanting to do that. So you got to understand, I'm teaching you from a place that I used to be in, a toxic person. But you got to learn to identify those things inside of yourself and be okay with identifying, because if you get a chance to see it, that means there is still grace for you to fix it.
And she touched on something very key at the beginning of what she was saying, being broken. A lot of us are already broken people getting into another relationship with another broken person who don't even know they're broken. So when you get into those relationships, you don't know that either of you are broken. You are two broken pieces trying to fit together.
That's it.
So you haven't mended that part. So when it's time for y'all to come together, there's that little crack that something may seep in and get over that should be there. It should be blocked off, but because you're broken, that part still seeps into the relationship, and so it messes up. It causes turmoil within the relationship. Now you're back apart. Now you got another crack that's in. Now you're broken, you know, in another place now. So if you don't get the part that needs to be fixed before you get into the next relationship, you're just carrying over that same broken crack into the next relationship.
Right. And so that next relationship begins to pay for everything in that previous relationship. And so we then become unapologetic because that person may point those things out. Like, I used to be real upset when he would point stuff out to me. But it was in us communicating that we got some understanding, like, baby, you know, this ain't gonna work. We gotta
do something.
We gotta do something different. Like,
right.
And so that had to put me in a place of being awake and being aware of my toxicity. And
sometimes it happens in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing it. And then once you, like she said, being awake and being aware of who you are, when you do, you stop. You be like, okay, what you was finna say? Nah, I was gonna be, you know, so I'm just gonna chill out on that.
Just gonna be quiet.
I'm just gonna be quiet because I don't want to further the situation to be bad. I want to make it. I want to continue to grow.
Right.
And that is growth, being able to stop in the middle of a situation that you know that you can manipulate, and you choose not to, because you're going to have to suppress those feelings. It's not always just going to be overnight that it's going to happen. It's a step. It's a process that you have to go through.
And once you decide that you no longer want to be toxic, have that conversation with your significant other. Have that conversation that, okay, babe, I know, like, sometimes even right now, because I was so toxic at one point in time, I used to get mad about everything. Like, I got anger issues, y'all. I'm from the hood. I'm quick to feel like I'm disrespected. You know, I gotta get working on me. Okay. You see my camo? God is yet working on me. But we can have conversations now about how I used to do things wrong. Or now when I'm trying to say, babe, I'm not mad. He was like, you are mad. No, I'm not. But guess what? I'm having to convince him because so many times I was angry. If you understand what I'm trying to say. I was angry. So when your significant other decides that they want to fix the problem, give them the room to fix that problem. Give them the room to have those changes. Yes, it's gonna be moments where that old stuff still rise up, but if they're trying to change it, give them the peace, be their peace to do what it is that they need to do.
That's it. And then another part, and that just piggybacking off the manipulation, is controlling. You have that controlling behavior where you want to control. Like I forgot what I was watching or I was listening to, something where they were saying to the effect of, you think it's cute that they're always calling you, asking you where you at, and I was just wondering if you was at home. That's a toxic trait. You know, you're controlling, like, you need to be at home. You should be at home at this time. If you ain't here at this time, then you know something going on.
Right.
But what if they are trying to surprise you with a gift or something? You don't know if they're trying to plan something for you or nothing, anything like that. So it's a toxic trait in controlling. You get them to try to do, like she was saying, in the manipulation stage, you're trying to control them to do things that you want them to do without them knowing that you want them to do it. So that's another toxic trait, controlling.
Baby, when I said we talking from a place, I'm letting y'all all up in my business today because I was that person. Yes, I still have things to work on. You know, I don't try to control the situation anymore. I now realize that I cannot. I have a wonderful husband. I have to trust him to be who he is going to be. And he's been a great man to me. No longer do I allow the men that weren't good to me to affect the man that I have. Because so many times, men and women, you can push those people away with those toxic traits.
Yeah.
If they not yours, I ain't gonna say yours, if they're not strong enough to walk that thing out with you. Like, my husband loved me. He knew that we were supposed to be together. He saw the good that was in me. So
even though she told me she was damaged goods, y'all. She told me at the beginning. She warned me.
I did. I told him that.
Me.
Baby, I'm jacked
I
up.
love you, girl. I love all of you, all your little dents and dings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything that's broken, we gonna fix that.
And we have.
Yep.
We have. And it's okay for them to check you to help you. You have to stop seeing the checking as something bad. Okay? Like the Bible says, he chastened the ones that he loves. If he allow you to see it, you got time to fix it. That means you love me. You want us to work. You want it to be better. Hey, baby, I see that controlling coming up again. You know, you said you weren't gonna do. And you know, I get an attitude sometimes. Then I be like, babe, you right. You was right. And sometimes it hurt to say you was right. But because I want to grow, I want our relationship to continue to flourish. I want us to continue to be us and be great. Then I go and I evaluate, and it ain't just me. He has stuff that he wants. He ain't perfect now, y'all.
Nah,
he close to it, but he ain't perfect. But we work on things because we communicate. We always go back to communication. Everything can be resolved in your relationship if you communicate, even if it's a resolve to not be together. If you communicate, you can do that peacefully also.
Right. And that also leads into the next point, which is being in your feelings all the time. You know, we all have been, you know, I be in my feelings about some stuff too. So, you know, we like she said, we talk about stuff, you know, I be in my feelings and I won't say nothing. She just, hey, what's wrong with you?
Because we won, I can feel it, okay?
I feel it.
If you won, you can feel it, ladies and gentlemen.
So she knows, like, sometimes if I be upset, but sometimes, you know, it's just something that, it's something, and it may be something that just may be bothering me. It may be nothing that we going through. It may be some outside situation that's going on, but she knows that I'm in my feelings about it or something like that. So she knows to try to help me and check me on getting out of that situation, getting out of my feelings and becoming back to the person that I need to be and not being in my feelings all the time about stuff.
Right, because I get in my feelings too. He helps me a lot because I live there sometimes. I used to. I'm an emotional person. I'm a very compassionate person. Like, I have a little bit of everything that probably is in everybody inside of me. So I feel everything in everybody. And he helps me contain all of that because it can be a lot, okay? But we have to learn that our feelings can lead us into some damaging places. In your feelings, you say things you don't want to say. In your feelings, you do things you don't want to do. You have to go back and apologize for those things.
The thing that she said used to tell me when we first got together and we would be arguing, you can't unblow a whistle. So even though you mad and in your feelings, don't never say it. If you say it, you meant it.
Gotta be awake.
You gotta be awake.
Y'all be talking about being woke in these streets. You gotta be awake awake in your relationship, you gotta be thoughtful at all times of what you're saying and what you're doing, because you can't get it back. You can't get it back. Once it's out there in the atmosphere, it's out there. And you can apologize, but if it was something that hurt, it's gonna take some time to repair. So hold on to them feelings. Okay? Check them feelings. Throw them away, as my apostle would say.
You can just off of that, just not being able to apologize. You know, some people they don't like to apologize. They're never wrong. That leads back to the first point. You just never wrong. Like, I didn't do nothing wrong, so why should I apologize? And if they do apologize, it's a
yucky one.
Right. It's not real. You know, and that leads into the inconsistency. Being inconsistent in a relationship can be very toxic also. Like, dealing with people, I'm gonna deal with you when I feel like dealing with you because I'm an introvert. You know, or you know, stuff like that. People use those words as an excuse not to deal with you until they feel like dealing with you.
Right.
So when people found out what that word meant and all that, I just like to be alone and stuff like that. Are you sure? Or you just, you know, want to explore other avenues, and not tell it, but still keep that avenue. You know, like keep your car parked there, but still drive your other car that you got to somewhere else.
Ooh, child.
You know.
Ooh, child.
So, I mean, it happens, you know.
It does.
And it's like I say, I feel as if it's driven by the music, the hip hop culture. It's always been like that, even with the men, even back in the day, listening to the hip hop of men. But we also had the balance of the R&B, because you had those people that were in love, and you know, people, you know, telling you, hey, baby, I want to stay in love with you, and even though I might have messed up, I want to get back with you. I'm sorry, I apologize. Ain't none of that going on in music no more. It's like, well, on to the next. You know, okay, so now you're leaving a trail of broken people. And now those broken people trying to get with these other broken people, which leads to other broken people, because nobody is trying to fix or mend the relationships that they were in, or the relationship that they're going to be in. It's a fight or flight type society. It's
such a disposable society.
That's the key. Ain't she fine? What she fine? And she smart.
We throw everything away. We do. But we do. We throw everything away. We're so awake that we're asleep. Okay? We're woke to all of the stuff that is conspiracy and how they held us down, but our black family is dwindling away. Our families, period, are dwindling away. Our children, we're so busy trying to get the bag. I seen it on Facebook. The girl said, you're so busy trying to get the bag, but your children got 13s and 33s in their classes. Because our focus is no longer the family. Our focus is no longer the marriage. It's such a toxic world that we live in. Like, our children, people can say what they want to say. We got a bubble around here. They are exposed to everything. Everything that is good. They are exposed to love. They are exposed to different kinds of music. They are exposed to history. They are exposed to God and the Word. They're exposed to it all because we don't want them to be what is being mimicked out here in the world. They have taken away our love songs. They have taken away the hugs and kisses between men and women on the TV. They have just taken away everything that is normal to create a new norm. And the new norm is handicapping the family. It is handicapping what God has ordained.
The independency of men and women upon themselves is through the roof, man.
That's
like,
it.
Honestly, like, it's a lot of men out here that say, hey, I don't need no woman. I'll be all right. I can do all this by myself. But there's an old saying that says, behind every good man, there's a good woman. And because of that, like, my grandfather passed away. And I was listening to the minister talking. It was like, he was saying that out of everything, everybody saying how good of a man he was, which he was. He was a great man. But he said he had to know that there was a great woman behind him. Because even though he was a great man, there had to be somebody there that helped make him great. Because like she make me great, I make her great.
That's it.
So we feed off each other, like she said. she checks me, I checks her. So it's just how it goes. You know, you have to have that. You can't just do everything on your own, because if you do, like I said, you're gonna create broken people, and those broken people are gonna get with somebody and break them, and it's just gonna continue the cycle.
That's it.
So if you can, just try to hold on to it if you can, and know that you, and be very sincere in your repair. Because when you're broken, you can also manipulate your brokenness as you're trying to, or saying that you're
Ooh,
trying.
that's good.
But you'll manipulate the situation and say, yeah, I'm getting better, I'm trying.
That's good.
And then you get in that relationship and those toxic traits just pop right back up, because
And you don't try to stop it.
and you don't try to stop it, because you never really wanted to get better yourself.
That's it.
No amount of time, or no amount of people that you get with can ever fix your toxic trait. You have to want to change and fix your own toxic traits.
And understand that those things that you hate in other people is probably what you're dealing with inside yourself.
Right.
For real, for real. Like I started looking at things when I got on my journey to not be toxic. I started looking at where it came from. I started being able to identify where it came from. It's a lineage of things that you have to break from, that you have to break the curses off of your life. There's so many things that we are breaking so our children won't have to deal with it. So
that's it.
If you don't want to continue on the pattern of your lineage
of toxic,
because it came from somewhere.
Right. And
it was imparted into you.
And you have to sometimes you have to do your research. Like I said, like I watched my father do things, and I swore to myself, I will not do that to my children. I will not pass on this trait to them.
That's it.
That's a trait that I watched, and I said no. It's some things that I seen my mom and my stepfather do. Those are some things that I just will not mimic, because these are learned behaviors. You are seeing this day in and day out, and it looks like it's normal. And then you get out in the world and you see that it's not. Then you have to now you conflicted. Well, this is the right way and this is the wrong way.
Right.
You have to choose what you want to pass on to your children.
That's right. I don't think it's nothing left to say, boo.
Yeah, So I just want to say thank you all, and don't she look good with them red glasses?
Oh my God, I'm just trying them out. Oh my God.
She just got them, but she look good. She is good looking. So we want to say we thank you all.
Thank you guys.
Thank you all for watching us. If you can, like the video, share the video, send it off. Leave a comment. Please leave a comment, because we will answer you all back.
Right. We want you to leave comments. We want you to inbox us. Give us some questions. And we got some new stuff coming out.
We are thankful, and we will see you on the next
the next one.
Holla.